Good morning, everyone out there in HSM land. Great to see you on a beautifully, I don't know, it's Saturday, so I'm going to say rainy, maybe, cloudy at least. We had this little April showers for our main flowers coming. Oh man, it is almost May. This is our last, is that Sunday of April? I'm going to say, my math says yes. May 2nd is next Sunday. So that means you are almost in your last month of your school year. Hooray, excellent. And you know what that means? That means, and I know you hear me say it all the time, but that means you gotta come to camp with us. You gotta come to camp with us. There it is, summer camp. Coming up June 24th, $175. Sign up at cpc.org/events. And you know the best part? I mean, besides the fact that we're going to get to go whitewater rafting, we're going to do canyoneering, we're going to be out in the outdoors away from our normal stuck on the screens. No, this is not a screen camp. Sorry, unfortunately, there's no online option for this camp. But we're going to be doing camp this year at Rock and Water. We are cruising along. We are more than half full now. So if you have not signed up yet, sign up now. Yes, that's all I got. I mean, that's the gist of it. That's the end of it. Sign up today. I hope that you can join us. It would be an amazing time for us if you could join us on our trip to camp. That is coming up June 24th to the 27th. There's the info. For more information, you can go to cpc.org/events. Actually, I guess the slash is that way. Everything's backwards on my screen. I'm like pointing to like my right, but it's actually pointing to the left. You know, that's how it works. Yeah, and also if you want more information, you can click down below. There's a link in the description to check out camp. This is for anyone who is, I don't know if you're an 8th grader watching this, but if you are an 8th grader right now and are going to be a freshman next fall, you can join us for camp. If you're a senior right now and you're going to be a freshman next fall, in college, you can join us for camp because you missed out on camp last year. So there's a big range of people, and I hope that you can join us. Excited for camp. And that's that. Also, we got life groups. We got a great group this week. Good to see some people that it was good to see everyone in person, and even some people I hadn't seen for a couple weeks or even a couple months. Michael, I'm talking to you. It was great to see you. And even having Madison online was really fun. So whether you can join us in person or online, join us for life groups. It's this last week was a really good time to have discussion time and to have some fun and just talk. Like, I feel like the first 20 minutes is us just hanging out, and it goes by so fast. You're like, oh shoot, we gotta move on to the next thing. So it's so great, and I hope that if you haven't joined us, you're more than welcome to join us. I'd love to have you guys join us. And we will have a game night coming up soon. I'll let you know when that is happening. Now, we've started to make a little distinction with our life groups and our game nights. So we're going to try to do less as far as the games at life groups, so we have more time to just hang out and discuss stuff. And then we're going to have big game nights where we're going to play games the whole time. So hopefully you can join us for one of those. I will give you a date on that. Probably around the time you don't want to be thinking about anything, like maybe a week before Dead Week or something. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, that's all I got today. It's the same announcements, but it's also, we're going to start a new series today. So today we're starting a series on habits. And I'm going to encourage you to do something this week as part of that. I'm not going to spoil it, but let's just say it involves getting in the habit of doing something. So get ready for that by having a little bit of worship. So we're going to head into a time of worship, and we'll go into our message from there and our new series called Habits. So let's head into our time of worshiping our Lord.
Times I've failed, still your mercy remains. Should I stumble again, still I'm caught control. Consume me from the inside out, Lord. Let justice and praise become my embrace, to love you from the inside out. Will above all else my purpose remains, the art of losing myself in bringing you praise. Everlasting, your light will shine when all else fades. Never-ending, your glory goes beyond all fame. My heart and my soul, I give you control. Consume me from the inside out, Lord. Let justice and praise become my embrace, to love you from the inside out. Everlasting, your light will shine when all else fades. Never-ending, your glory goes beyond all fame. And the cry of my heart is to bring you praise from the inside out. Lord, my soul cries my heart and my soul, I give you control. Consume me from the inside out, Lord. Let justice and praise become my embrace, to love you from the inside out. Everlasting, your light will shine when all else fades. Never-ending, your glory goes beyond all fame. And the cry of my heart is to bring you praise from the inside out. Lord, my soul cries out. Everlasting, your light will shine when all else fades. Never-ending, your glory goes beyond all fame. And the cry of my heart is to bring you praise from the inside out. Lord, my soul cries out from the inside out. Lord, my soul cries out from the inside out. Lord, my soul cries
I'm excited today to start a new series. We're calling Habits. You saw before it, the little thing, it says Habits. And when you think about habits, you think of things that you do over and over again, or you have a thing that you constantly are doing. Well, one habit that I had, or something that I actually was trying to achieve a goal. Maybe you have a time when you've had to achieve a goal. I've told a few of you I think I've mentioned this, maybe even mentioned it before on one of our services, but Dot and I, if you don't know, Dot's my wife, Dot and I really want to, sometime down the road, we want to move to Germany. We love Germany. We've been there a couple of times, and we just love it. It's like, I don't know what it is about it, but we just really love it. And so one of the prerequisites to, possibly moving there would be that we probably need to learn the language a little bit better. And by a little bit better, I mean a lot better. You see, we want to learn German, and part of some of like the moving there, you kind of got to know some, especially maybe if you want to get a job there. But so multiple times I've tried to learn German. I've done it 3 times. The first time I did like on an app. The first time was 5 years ago before we went there for the first time. I was like, I got to learn German because I feel like I should know something. I didn't learn anything. I think I learned like how to ask if they spoke English, like sprechen Sie English? Like that's it. And most of them do speak English, so it's helpful. But then when the next time was 2 years ago, and I tried to learn, and I spent more time on it, and I got okay. Where I could kind of hold a very small conversation. And then when lockdown happened and people were like, we're learning and doing stuff in lockdown, I thought, heck, you know what? I'm going to dig deep and I'm going to learn German and I'm going to do it. And so I locked it down and I spent like half an hour to an hour a day just like trying to learn German. I took notes. I had a notebook that I was writing stuff down. I had flashcards. I had it all. And for a good month and a half, 2 months, I was learning German. But then there came a point where I kind of got worn out by it. And I was learning stuff, and I thought I was learning a lot, and I thought I was retaining this fun knowledge, but I think it was like, it just is a hard language. And so it got almost too hard, and I don't know. I maybe because I was doing it by myself and just doing it online. Maybe if I'd been in a class, it would have been different. Maybe if we were learning it in Germany, it would have been different. But I just kind of gave up. And now I later found, even a couple months ago, that German is one of the hardest languages to learn. Now the reason for that, especially coming from an English speaker, is that the way we speak, I don't know grammar, so I can't describe it. But the way we speak to us is normal. But in German, a lot of that is like Yoda talk. I swear someone watched like Yoda in Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and like, yeah, that's how we should talk. I know it's an older language than that, but like it's very backwards in like way you say certain things. And some verbs in the front and some verbs go to the end, and sometimes they just smash a word together. And so it just kind of got really hard to understand, and I'm not good at grammar to begin with. So having to learn a whole another language, it just got too much, and I kind of gave up. And it's funny how quickly it can fade. That dream of learning German faded for me. Maybe that's happened to you. Has this ever happened to has something like this ever happened to you? You had this big dream, this idea or goal of something that you wanted to become really good at. Like I wanted to become really good at speaking German and reading and writing German. And I think eventually I'll come back to it, but I'll change up how I do it. And I think next time I really want to do it with Dot so we can kind of talk back and forth with each other. But maybe you've tried this. Maybe you've tried, not German, but maybe you tried to do something and get better at it and be really good at it. You even started and put the work in, like I did with my notebook. But then you just it kind of fades away. You look at it and it goes away. Maybe it was you wanted to start your own YouTube channel. You vlogged an entire day, but then you were too tired to actually edit and upload it. You said you'd do it tomorrow, but eventually too many days passed and you forgot about it. Or maybe you're an athlete and you had goals to level up your skills this year, or to get in even better shape over the summer, but things didn't go as planned. Too many skipped workout days, and eventually you just feel disconnected from your passion, and you just kind of couldn't realize you couldn't reach those original goals. Or maybe you were going to work really hard this year on your grades, and you wanted to raise your GPA and boost your chances of getting into your dream college. You had a whatever it takes mentality going into the year, but here you are months later, not where you wanted to be. Now, the quickest way for something to go from super important to kind of forgot about it is for it to be out of our sight. Out of sight, out of mind is a real thing. And this isn't just true about activities or goals that we have. Think about it when it comes to people, like your friendships. When we lose connection with our friends, we sometimes fill our heads with ideas about things that may have changed since we last saw them. Questions can come up like, are we really still friends? Are they mad at me for something I said or something I did? Or did they replace me with someone else? Sometimes friendships slowly drift apart, and we begin to question things and doubt the friendship, and it all starts with the lack of interaction or time together. What happens with us and a dream we want to accomplish but end up abandoning is the same thing that happens with friends we want to stay close with, but end up drifting apart from. We have a goal, we have an end in mind, but without making a habit of the work to make that goal a reality, the dream dies, the friendship fizzles, things just don't turn out the way we want. Because without making a habit out of spending time with people we care about, or without making a habit out of practicing the skills we need to make the dream come true, we don't accomplish what we want. And here's the thing, many of you may have just started an exciting new relationship with God, or maybe you've been a follower of Jesus for a long time, but you don't want to drift apart from him. Or if I had to guess, I would bet some of you have had the same sort of experience with God already. The relationship fizzles. The goal of feeling close to him is never reached. And maybe you have found yourself wondering why that is. Is it because God is invisible? Or is it because God feels far away? Or maybe it seems strange to try to figure out a way to talk to someone you don't have a text thread with. Or maybe you even wonder if you did something wrong to cause the distance. Whatever idea you have of what you think a relationship with God looks like, maybe it just isn't happening, and it feels a bit like the goal you abandoned and the friendship that just isn't the same. And the question you're asking is this the way it has to be? When he was on earth, Jesus had a moment when he was surrounded by several religious experts. They loved asking him questions, sometimes because they wanted to learn from him, but mainly because they wanted to trip him up. They wanted to catch him saying something that would cause Jesus to lose his influence and ruin his reputation. At one point, one of the religious leaders asked Jesus what the greatest commandment was. Now, these religious leaders thought they understood God and his law better than anyone. They were in no danger of forgetting about God. Following God's rules were front and center of their entire lives. Everything was about the rules of God. And now, in front of a crowd of people, they asked Jesus, out of the hundreds and hundreds of laws and commandments, which one would he make numero uno, number one? Jesus responded with an answer that every one of the teachers and experts of the law would have known by heart, because they'd heard it their entire lives. Here's what Jesus says in Mark 12:30. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength. Jesus tells us what he wants us to do. Love an invisible God with everything we have, but he doesn't say how at that moment. Later, Jesus uses an illustration to help explain that. You see, John, one of Jesus' followers and friends, records a big conversation between Jesus and his disciples. Jesus knew that while he was visible to his friends at that moment, he wouldn't be for much longer. Eventually, he would return to heaven and no longer walk on earth. It didn't mean that Jesus would no longer exist. He would just no longer be visible in the way that they had gotten used to. With that in mind, Jesus gives them an illustration. Here's what he says in John chapter 15, verse 5. He says, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. That makes sense for everyone back in that time. You see, back then, agriculture or farming was so common that everybody would understand the vine and the branches thing. It's like if I was talking to you about cell phones today. It was a part of everyday life. Everybody knew about farming, vines, and plant life. They would have immediately known that the branch of a plant can only create fruit if that fruit is connected to the nutrients the vine provides. So let's put it in terms we would use today. It would be like saying that a power cord gets the electricity it needs from the power outlet to give power to whatever it's plugged into. You know, a power cord is used, takes the power from the wall, zoom, into, well, like this bright light that I have on my face. The verse written would sound a little bit different if I substituted a couple of words instead of vine and branches. Here's what it would say. I am the power outlet. Sorry, I am not the power outlet. This is Jesus talking, remember. Anyways, I am the power outlet. You are the cord. If you remain in me and I in you, you will power many devices. Apart from me, you can power nothing. Now, most of us have things at home that need to be plugged into an outlet in order to work. You got televisions, curling irons, coffee pots. Some people use electronic toothbrushes, microwave, dishwasher, refrigerator, Xbox, PlayStation. I could list a ton of things. I can keep going. Your lamp in your bedroom. This list could go on for days, like I said. Think about the incredible things that you can do and all the people you can connect with through like your phone, or maybe it's your Xbox that you connect with people, or your computer. Now, if your Xbox is connected to an outlet, it can do wonders. If your Xbox is unplugged, it's a giant paperweight. It doesn't do anything. If your Xbox is unplugged, it's just this big heavy thing that just kind of sits there. Now, if your phone is connected to an outlet, it's the single most innovative piece of technology of all time. I mean, obviously you have battery life, but imagine if your phone is dead and you need to charge it. If it isn't plugged in, it's not working. Like I said, if your phone battery has no battery left, it has all the potential in the world, but that's all it is, potential. If your device is connected to an outlet when it's run out of power, it has true power. If your device has no electricity, it's dead. This is a lot like you and your relationship with God. You have so much power and so much potential to do so many things. You can love your friends. You can serve your family. You can make wise decisions. You can pursue God's plan for your life. You can change the world right where you are simply by living the life God has called you to live. You can do all these things and more in your everyday life if you are plugged in. That's when you begin to bear fruit, which is equal to your devices being powered up. When you're connected to God, you get to live as the single greatest creation of all time. God says so when he made you. If you aren't connected, you have all the potential in the world, but there's something standing in the way. You see, you are still the greatest creation of all time. But there's a gap between where you are and where you could be. We need to stay connected to God to know God. And we need to know God in order to love God more. And loving God, that's what Jesus said was the most important commandment of all time. In order to love God with everything we are, we need to be connected to him with all that we are. Think of it this way. Connecting with God helps us know him better. Connecting with God helps us know him better. And connecting with God will help you know him better. But connecting with an invisible God will take some effort. It will take making connection a habit. Loving God with all of our heart, with all of our mind, with all of our soul, and with all of our strength means that we are putting in the effort over time to make it happen. So how do we do that? Well, there are lots of ways to connect with God. So we're going to start with one simple, straightforward idea. Spend time with God. Spend time with God. Over the next few weeks, we're going to talk more specifically about ways that you can spend time with God. But this week, I want to give you a challenge. Spend 15 minutes. Now, that may seem like a lot, or maybe that seems like a little. But spend 15 minutes a day with God. Now, doing what? Maybe you're like, well, I don't want to just sit down and read the Bible. I don't really connect with God that way. Well, there's a lot of different ways. Here's just a few ideas. Listening to worship music and thinking about God while you do. Going for a walk and praying, talking to God about things you are grateful for or need help with. Heck, switching those around and going for a walk and listening to worship music and singing out loud, and who cares who hears you. Write down some prayers, thoughts, or questions in a journal. Read devotionals on YouVersion. I love YouVersion has some great devotionals for any time that you have in your life. You can just do a little search in their bar and boom, there are some great choices for you to pick one. And so pick one. And go for it. Pick one of these. Or come up with some ideas on your own. Or come up with some ideas like together in life groups this week. In life groups, Thursday nights, you should join us if you haven't yet. Well, it's a great way we can talk together and we can help build habits to get to know God in everyday ways. And it'll help to have that support. Like I said, when I was doing German, I was by myself. But to have support would have been amazing. But whatever you decide, it doesn't have to be perfect or feel magical. There's one goal and one point of spending time with God: to get to know him, and to get to know him better by connecting with him. Like connecting with the power source. To begin to build into our lives the space for a habit of time spent with God, just know whatever you decide to try, it may look different for different people. All of you are different people. All of you connect with God differently. Because just like there are endless ways for you to connect with your friends, seeing them at school, hanging out with them on the weekends, commenting on their social media, there are endless ways to connect with God. The point isn't how you do it, it's that you do it over and over again. Making a habit or a pattern out of time spent with him. Now, getting to know and connecting with a God we can't see will take time. It will take creating a habit over time before it starts to feel easier and more natural. But I love this phrase out of the book of James in the New Testament. James was awesome. We did James series, I don't know, it was a long time ago now, but we did a James series like a year ago. And James had some really cool things, and this is one of them. He says in James 4, verse 8, he says, "Come near to God, and he will come near to you." There's no magic formula about this. It's just taking the time to make a habit. Over time, we will find ourselves closer to God, and he will feel closer to us. Even though God is with us all the time, the habit of spending time with him will eventually bring a feeling of closeness we maybe haven't ever experienced before. Now imagine for a second if you made a habit out of connecting with God. What if because of this habit you felt comfortable with him, closer to him? What if in the process of spending time with him, you really began to notice yourself loving God with more of your heart, more of your mind, soul, and strength? How cool would it be to feel like you were connected to the power, the presence, and the love of God? Here's the thing. God wants you to make a habit of spending time with him, of getting close to him, not because he wants to control you, but because he wants to be close to you. He's a good father, just to steal a line from a song, who wants a good relationship with his children, and that includes all of us. That includes you. You know, a great place to talk about this, and like I said a little bit earlier, is our life groups on Thursday nights. Whether you can make it in person or you just join us online. It's a great place to talk about making a habit out of spending time with God. You can verbalize your struggles and your frustrations. You can share ideas that have worked for you, and you can hear from a leader who has spent years learning to connect with God in their own way. Connecting with God helps us know him better, and our small groups, our life groups, is another great place to connect with God. So take that 15 minutes this week and connect with God however that is for you, the best way that it works for you. And I would love to hear what it has been like spending that every single day, 15 minutes. For me, that's praying. That's, instead of listening to one of my thousands of podcasts, it's putting on that worship music in the car. It's taking time away from my computer screen to just read his word, even if it's for like 5 minutes at a time. So take that time this week to spend 15 minutes a day with God. And I want to hear about it. I want to hear everything that you've learned from that and how it's kind of helped you get more connected with God. Let's pray. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for these students. I pray that you would help them connect with you and to plug into you more and more and more. Help them to create a habit out of plugging into you. Help us to spend that time with you this week. Help us spend that time with you so that we can learn from you. We can feel the love that you have for us, and that we can share that with everyone in our lives. So thank you for this word, and thank you for this time. It's in your son's name we lift this up. Amen. I hope that you can take those 15 minutes this week. That you can take those 15 minutes and spend time with God. However that looks in your life. That you can take that time away from screens maybe. Or maybe you need a screen. Maybe it's, you want to watch some worship videos. Or you want to watch a devotional. But take 15 minutes this week to be with God every single day. However that looks for you. And I think you'll see that habit start to develop and things start to change in your life as we, as I said, plug into that power source that is God. I'll be praying for you this week as you go on that endeavor, and I can't wait to hear how your 15 minutes with God is going. Besides that, just the big one, make sure you sign up for camp. There it is. Again, sign up for camp. I realize also, I'm like super holy over here. Hold on, there it is. Just have my Bible open right there. I didn't even realize I had it open there. I think I probably was reading it here and I put it on the bed behind me, but yeah, it was totally an accident. But there it is. I think Second Thessalonians is actually open. How about that? Anyways, I was actually reading Timothy, so it's funny that maybe when I moved it flopped back. Anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Join us on Thursdays for life groups. And life groups is also a great way that you could have accountability for that 15 minutes. It's so easy to be like, well, yeah, I did it, or I did 15 minutes. But when someone's asking you, hey, did you do your 15 minutes? And I'm not saying to do it because you have to. I'm saying do it because I think it's so important for us to do it and to connect with God. And that's all I got today. We're going to head out now, and we're going to have a wonderful week. Stay dry if it's raining. Again, it's Saturday. I don't know if it's raining. But have a great week, and hopefully to see you on Thursday, this Thursday, April 29th, I believe. Math. Anyways, I'll see you guys later. Bye.